Okay, our objective today in Algebra 1 is to factor using GCF, greatest common factor. And factoring using GCF is basically the reverse of distributive property. So our answers are going to look like distributive property problems that you used to get. So problem number 1, 5x squared plus 10x. To find the GCF, we look at 5 and 10. What number goes into 5 and 10? 5. Then we look at x squared and x. X squared is x and x is just x. So how many x's do they have in common? One of them. So they have one x in common. So our GCF is 5x. That goes on the outside of parentheses. Now to figure out what goes inside the parentheses, we do 5x times what is 5x squared. Well, 5 times 1 is 5. X times what is x squared? X. So 5x times 1x is 5x squared. I don't usually put that 1 there, but if you want to, you can. Then 5x times what is 10x? Has to be 2. So our answer is 5x parentheses x plus 2. So let's look at number 2. 16x cubed plus 24x squared minus 8x. So we look at 16, 24, and 8. What number goes into 16, 24, and 8? It has to be 8. Then we look at x cubed, x squared, and x. How many x's do they have in common? Well, there's 3 of them here, 2 of them there, and 1 there. So they all only have 1 in common. See how they only have 1 x? So I put 8x parentheses. 8x times what is 16x cubed? Well, 8 times 2 is 16. And then you can see up here I didn't circle those 2 x's, so that means x squared. Plus 8 times what's 24 has to be 3. And then there's an x there. Minus 8 times what's 8 has to be 1. And you have to put that 1 there this time because there has to be something there. And we can check it by doing distributive property. 8x times 2x squared, 16x cubed. 8x times 3x, 24x squared. 8x times negative 1, negative 8x. Number 3. 16x cubed minus 24x to the 5th. So I look at 16 and 24. What number goes into 16 and 24? Has to be 8. X cubed and x to the 5th, how many x's do they have in common? 3 of them. The rule that I use, or the shortcut that I use, is it's always the smallest group of x's that they all have. So x cubed, x to the 5th, x cubed is smaller, so that's our GCF. 8x cubed times what is 16x cubed? 8 times what's 16? 2. And there's no x's there. Minus 8 times what's 24? 3. And then how many x's have to be here? 2. Number 4. 2x cubed minus 4. Oops, let me say that again. Let's do 2x squared minus 4. So we look at 2 and 4. What's the GCF of 2 and 4? 2. Now I have x squared and no x's. So are there any x's to go out here? No. So our GCF is just 2. 2 times what is 2x squared? Plain x squared. Minus 2 times what's 4? 2. Number 5. 25x squared minus 10x. 25 and 10, the GCF of 25 and 10 is 5. X squared and x, the GCF of that would be x. 5x times what is 25x squared? Well, 5 times 5 is 25. X times x is x squared. 5 times what's negative 10? Has to be negative 2. And no x's there. Number 6. 20x cubed plus 4x squared minus 6x. 20, 4, and 6. What number goes into 20, 4, and 6? Has to be 2. X cubed, x squared, and x. What goes into all of those? It has to be x. So 2 times what's 20? 10. X times what's x cubed? Has to be x squared. Plus 2 times what's 4? 2. X times what's x squared? Has to be x. 2 times what's negative 6? Negative 3. And no x's there. And then we're going to skip to this problem. 6x cubed plus 7y cubed. So we look at 6 and 7. What number goes into 6 and 7? Only the number 1. Does that do us any good to pull out a 1? Not really. Doesn't change anything. Then look at x cubed and y cubed. Do they have anything in common? No. These are x's. These are y's. X and y are not the same letter, obviously. So can this one be factored? No, there's no GCF. So our answer is can't be factored. And that's all you write, can't be factored. Be careful though, there's very few of those, if any, ever on an assignment. I want you to see it, but there's very few of those, if any. And I don't think on your assignment today there's any of them. And your assignment is page 535, numbers 1 through 10, 27 through 35.